This aircraft flew faster than a bullet. Its maximum speed exceeded 3,500 kilometers per hour. That's more than 3 times the speed of sound. Missiles tried to shoot it down, but not a single one ever managed to hit it. How could an aircraft built more than half a century ago be this fast? Why has no one beaten its speed record? And how could pilots even control such a machine? This is the legendary SR-71 Blackbird, the fastest manned jet aircraft ever built. When this aircraft appeared in the sky, it looked like something from the future. Its long black body, massive engines, and unusual shape made it stand out from every other aircraft. The SR-71 was designed for reconnaissance missions. Its job was simple: fly over huge areas, take photographs, and return home before anyone could stop it. But the aircraft's greatest protection wasn't armor or weapons. Its greatest protection was speed. The SR-71 could fly faster than Mach 3. That means it traveled more than 3 times the speed of sound. At that speed, the aircraft could cross the entire United States in about an hour. That's a distance of more than 4,000 kilometers. But speed was not its only advantage. The aircraft also flew at incredible altitudes, more than 25 kilometers above the Earth. That's almost the edge of the atmosphere. For comparison, most passenger airplanes fly at around 10 to 12 kilometers. At the altitude where the SR-71 operated, the air becomes extremely thin. The sky starts to darken and turns almost black. Sometimes pilots could even see the curvature of the Earth. But flying this fast created serious engineering challenges. When an aircraft travels faster than Mach 3, the friction with the air begins to heat the entire body of the plane. The surface temperature could exceed 260 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than a typical kitchen oven. If the aircraft had been built from ordinary aluminum, it would have simply melted. So engineers made an unusual decision. They built most of the aircraft from titanium. More than 80% of the SR-71 structure was made from this strong, heat-resistant metal. Titanium can withstand extremely high temperatures and tremendous stress. But working with titanium was incredibly difficult. It was hard to shape, weld, and manufacture, and it was far more expensive than standard materials. However, titanium allowed the SR-71 to survive the extreme conditions of high-speed flight. But this design created one strange side effect. When the SR-71 sat on the ground, fuel often leaked from the aircraft. To someone watching, it might have looked like a serious malfunction, but this was actually part of the design. When the aircraft accelerated to high speed, the entire body began to heat up. As the metal heated, it expanded. The small gaps between the panels closed tightly. This sealed the fuel tanks and made the aircraft fully airtight. In other words, the plane was only completely sealed while it was flying at high speed. Because of this, the SR-71 almost always refueled in the air shortly after takeoff. The aircraft would meet a tanker plane and receive additional fuel. This allowed it to perform extremely long missions. The engines were another technological masterpiece. The SR-71 used special engines called Pratt & Whitney J58. At lower speeds, they worked like normal jet engines. But as the aircraft accelerated, the air intake system began to function differently. A portion of the incoming air bypassed the engine core and worked almost like a ramjet. This allowed the aircraft to operate efficiently at speeds above Mach 3. The system was incredibly complex and required precise engineering, but it was one of the key reasons the SR-71 became the fastest manned aircraft in history. Whenever radar systems detected the aircraft, air defense forces attempted to stop it. Missiles were launched toward the SR-71, sometimes several at once, but pilots rarely performed aggressive evasive maneuvers. Instead, they simply increased their speed. The aircraft accelerated and moved even faster. The missiles simply could not catch it. Over the years, thousands of missiles were launched in attempts to intercept the SR-71, but not a single one ever managed to shoot it down. This made the SR-71 one of the most difficult aircraft in the world to intercept. The pilots who flew the Blackbird required special training. Flying at such speeds and altitudes was extremely demanding. Before every mission, pilots wore special pressure suits. They looked very similar to astronaut suits. At altitudes above 25 kilometers, the air pressure is extremely low. If the cockpit lost pressure, a pilot could lose consciousness within seconds. That's why safety systems were critically important. Even the fuel used by the aircraft was unique. It was called JP-7. This fuel was specially designed for the SR-71. It was very difficult to ignite under normal conditions.
That's all for today. I tried to tell the story of this airplane in just 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please support it with a like and subscribe to the channel. There will be many more short and interesting videos about airplanes coming soon.